Listen to these Year 9s and be afraid. Be very afraid.
I've just been going onto the website, copying, pasting, reading it and then giving it into class.
A lot of the times I just agree with it and just think, well, it probably is right if it's on the internet.
If I want information on my work, you just copy it and then you just paste it onto your work.
They'll go to a search engine and just take whichever site comes up first. If it's on the internet, it must be true.
So why does it matter if pupils believe that the internet is as safe and reliable as a library?
So, what's the main message of the site then?
It's about Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And what he did and stuff.
His life and his achievements.
Yeah.
Okay.
We asked ICT expert James Green to lead an experiment. He showed a group of Year 9s 3 websites about Martin Luther King, the Holocaust and Victorian robots.
Who's the author of the site? Just out of a matter of interest.
Dr. E.R. Fields.
What does that change your perception of the site at all?
It's a doctor writing it, so he must have something like clever in his mind or something like that. Must be something right about it.
The sites are easily found on search engines and all could be used by pupils completing homework or coursework. But they're not what they seem. Would the pupils be suspicious? The experiment is fascinating.
Did you find out anything that you didn't know previously?
There was a robot in 1893.
Yeah.
The Victorian robot site is simply a good-natured spoof.
Oh yeah. So you're on the what's this?
The Victorian robot, ECERD.
So what's your first impression of the site?
Quite colourful, really.
Yeah.
And it just makes it look good when you go onto it on the homepage.
There's
pictures
more links as well.
Just makes you want to read it.
It'll be quite useful if you're doing history.
And who developed it?
Professor
Archibald
Campion.
Yeah.
The Martin Luther King site is more dangerous. It's a front for racists.
In terms of the subjects that you're using, RE and so forth, can you give me an example of why you think it's useful?
Just there's loads of different, say if you just wanted to know about the truth about him or like just all information about him, just click on one of them. It's easier to find out one piece of information that you might want to reading it all.
And would you use this at all?
Yeah.
And the Holocaust site provides a platform for deniers.
So what's the main message of the site then, from your understanding?
Was there really a Holocaust?
So it's questioning the fact that whether there was a Holocaust or not. In terms of usefulness of the site, how would you rate it?
You maybe got a bit of RE in it, and you have to take RE for a GCSE, so it might just be a bit useful to know some of it.
The pupils are completely taken in by all 3 sites, failing to question their validity or reliability, despite what they've been taught in ICT.
It's actually part of the statutory national curriculum that kids should be taught to check the authenticity of sites. But, and it's a big but, there's a real difference between what young people can do and what they do. They've been taught to check the validity of a site, so they can check the validity of a site. That doesn't mean that when they're doing their geography homework, and they've got half an hour to find something out before they move something else, that they actually will do that. So I think what we're seeing is young people's skills, largely through conscious teaching, have got a lot better. Whether or not they apply those skills is perhaps more open to debate.
It's the people that use the internet to misinform that we have to be wary of. And the problem lies centrally that the children don't question enough. They don't look at where they are. They don't say, is this actually real? They don't use the techniques. They don't stop and question, why is this person doing it? What's it about? Why haven't I heard about this before? And they're not actually referencing it. When they go on the internet, they think that they're safe because they're at home, they're in the school or they're in the library. But ultimately, they're going out into an open area with free access, and people can be there, pretending to be somebody that they're not.
The thing about the internet is that its strengths are also its weaknesses. The internet's a fantastic publishing house. At the same time, it's an information resource, but it's an unstructured, unregulated, disorganised information resource. It's like a huge, huge, huge barn in which everybody's tipped everything they know about anything. And if you can find it, it's great. But if you can't, you wade through a lot of, well, actually, not just uninformative and not just unhelpful, but sometimes actually misleading information.
After our experiment at Wortley School in Leeds, we asked James Green to lead an ICT lesson, revealing the truth about the 3 sites.
What we're going to do now is we're going to change our tack slightly. And we're going to look at sort of empowering yourself to look at sites, to look at the internet, and understand what you're seeing. So a number of things here, a number of questions. They're called the 5 W's and 1 H. We want to know who has written the site, who has written the website. Why has the author written this? What is it about? Is it factual? Also, when was the site last updated? Where does this information come from? Where does the information link to? Do those links actually go out to other websites? And finally, the big question is, how good is the information? So we're going to go through a couple of the sites that we looked at, and we're going to apply these 5 W's and 1 H to it. We looked at this site earlier. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at this site. What we can do is we can start to use some different techniques. So we can use things like site colon. Now if we do site colon, and then we put in the URL, and here we see our website there. But it's also giving us all the sites that are housed within this website. If you look at the name of the site for the robot site, it's called www.
Big Red Hair.
And links and so forth coming off it are...
Big Red Hair.
Good. So this site is going back in itself constantly. What does that tell you about the site?
Is it like it's just keeping on coming back to itself, so it's not got a wide range of information?
Yeah. Can we trust this site? What's happening inside here now about Victorian robots?
Like, you don't know if it's exactly true, because it's just about what the person who's, like, done the site's written. It's not, like, sort of mentioned anywhere else.
So what we need to do is we need to investigate that, and we need to find out what is in Big Red Hair, don't we? So let's have a look. This is Big Red Hair.
The reaction of the pupils is remarkable.
I thought we were on Victorian robots. What's this all about, Big Red Hair?
When I first saw the Victorian robots, I thought that it was all real. When it came to our knowledge that the Victorian robots were only comedy, that's when I was like, I just started laughing at that time, because I was like so shocked. I believed it, and I was actually going to go home and say, look, there were Victorian robots in 1893.
I thought they were true, that they were robots, but then when you see that it's a comic, it's like, well, it looks quite real at first, but it won't.
So just open up the Holocaust site, and I want you to put the author's name into Google. So who's the author there? Who's the author? Dr. E.R. Fields. What's coming out at you when you put in that guy's name? What's it say?
The Jewish Origins of Communism by Dr. E.D. Fields, the 20-page booklet filled with documents from both Jewish and the US state.
We've put in Ed Fields, Dr. Ed Fields. It's given us back this actual website here, which is about white nationalism. It's a racialist discussion board for pro-white activities. What's happening now to your bells and indicators about that last website that we looked at?
Maybe they're a bit racist or something, or believing that Britain should be just full of white people and making it stronger and being better than other races. Next time I'd just look up, but not just go with the first thing I see, but look around a bit, and then if there's more saying, oh well, that is what happens, and less for the other, then I'd believe the one where it's a majority on.
Some were just like plain and didn't have much colour, so it didn't make you want to read them. And then when you went on Martin Luther King one, like lots of links and different like fonts, so it like made you want to read it.
With the easy who is, enter the domain name there, which is www.martinlutherking. And this is going to tell you who owns this site. Scroll down then. Who owns this site? Why is Stormfront involved with Martin Luther King?
And they're trying to make him sound like right bad, that he hates white people and making like white people turn against black people.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think about using this now then, girls? Would you use Martin Luther King? No. No.
I like the Martin Luther King one to start with, but I thought, well, he's a bit racist, but it's like all one-sided. You don't think it'll all be racist and all one-sided. You think it's just going to be fair, but it won't.
Validate it. Check it. Don't believe anything that you see on the internet until you are happy with it. And when you're happy with it, you can check it out in the library and these other things, talk to other people about it. But don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Interestingly, for ICT teachers, the pupils seem to have the skills required to question and validate sites. They just tend not to apply those skills to schoolwork.
One of the things I find really interesting is that young people really understand when they go on something like MySpace or YouTube or whatever, that this is just other people publishing their stuff. They don't give it any special credence necessarily, they take it for what it is. They don't apply the same judgment when they go and do a search through one of the search engines to find out the answer to their history homework. They don't say, hold on a minute, for all I know, this is a 13-year-old in her bedroom or his bedroom just whacking something out on the internet and publishing it. They see that in a quite different way, and they give it an authority that it doesn't always deserve. They're beguiled by the presentation of the thing, that it's nicely laid out, that it has, you know, really good graphic images, it might have a bit of an animation or something like that. And that makes them think, I think, that the thing has perhaps more credibility than perhaps it has.
Youngsters traditionally don't transfer their skills. It's one of these frustrating parts of being a teacher. They do web literacy in Key Stage 3. It looks at all the elements of creating websites and so forth, but it doesn't quite go far enough, and it's up to schools, local authorities to push that movement towards information literacy and for pupils to understand what the motivation behind certain sites may or may not be.
Next time I look for something on the internet, I've got to study a bit more and look for if it is true or if it isn't.
Everything on a website's not always true. You've got to go through and find out if it's true and find out all the links.
It made me think, well, yeah, I had just gone onto it and got the information off it and then gone to my teacher and said, here. But what I didn't know is what we did today. So every site now I'd like to do that with. So it's taught me to look behind the site and see what's actually there and not what's right in front of me. But I am really surprised at what happened today. I couldn't believe it, to be honest, and I'd like to go away and tell everybody else about Easy Who Is and that, so I've really learnt something today.
James's tips and advice on how to find out more about websites can be found on the Teachers TV website.